You're listening to RTI Audio, powered by Rocky Top Insider. This is Pancakes and Bacon with VFL, Kyler Kerbyson, and Reed Bacon.
Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Pancakes and Bacon. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kerbyson. Joined with Reed Bacon. Had a bye week, so we don't have any film to break down. We don't have any games to really go over, but we got some Q&As. We got some just SEC standings we're going to talk about, and then look ahead to the Kentucky game. First, if you guys are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment, leave questions in the comments. We'd love to answer those questions on podcasts like these, bye weeks like these. If you're just listening, rate, review, download, re-download, and follow us on all those listening platforms. And then follow us on our social medias, which is in the description below. Check that out. Before we jump into anything, Reed, how are we doing, bud?
Let's go.
Started the same. We won the bye week.
We won the bye week. No one got hurt. I didn't have to get frustrated about anything.
Yeah.
I didn't have to tell
really went up in the SEC standings.
We didn't have to talk the fans from jumping off the ledge. Heupel didn't forget how to coach.
Didn't feel the responsibility of explaining the game plan to everybody. Just the heavy burden on the shoulders.
The 3-3-5 defense didn't kill Heupel. It's not his kryptonite.
The boring offensive play calling that
as the guy behind me that can shit play calling.
Yeah, the horrible defense that actually can't stop anybody. Yeah, all those.
Hey, if I got a bone to pick, I think I saw this on a Rocky Top Insider tweet. Which is definitely a bye week tweet, but it was talking about how EA Sports somehow demoted Tennessee's defense, and Bryson Easton was like, "What are we doing here?" And then I got in the car this morning, and it was a national radio or like a regional radio show, and I was just waiting on Megan to get in the car to go to Mass, and somebody was talking about how good Texas A&M's defense last night, and they're like, "Man, that defense is up there with like Georgia's defense," and and they said one other team. I'm like, guys, what are we doing here?
We got to mention the Vols. This team is incredible.
I mean, you saw the tweet I put out about David Pollack talking about, which I'm still shocked that he said that, because David is, I get it, man. Like I it's not a fault of his, but like he's always going to be a homer for Georgia. Desmond Howard's always going to be a homer for Michigan. You know, Kirk does a really good job that I don't think if you watch or listen, you wouldn't know he went to Ohio State, but people know he went to Ohio State. But like, and it's fine if you ever were on the SEC network or anything like that. Like you'll call it how you see it, but you're still going to be a homer to the Vols.
Oh, for sure.
And
I'm going to admit that. I'm not going to hide behind it and act like I'm not. Like, yes, I am. I grew up Tennessee fan, went to Tennessee. Like, I can't just get rid of that.
Right. Exactly. So, but yeah, it's like, I was like, wow. Like I knew I'd have been very surprised if he didn't talk really, really awesome about us. But then when he said that like this team's front or D line is better than what they had 2022, and that 2022 defense the defense as a whole was much better than not much better, but was better than Tennessee's. That was one of the best college defenses we've probably ever seen.
Yeah.
But to say that their front is not as good as our front because we just have so many guys that can do it. We don't have a Jalen Carter, but you know what? We do have a James Pierce on the edge.
Yeah.
And I don't even like necessarily talking about just saying James Pierce because I feel like I'm not doing disservice to Joshua Joseph or any of the other guys. So, but yeah, it was a good weekend, man. Just Meg and I went and hit a hike yesterday. It was good to get out, and obviously I was still checking scores. I was still laying some few bets here and there, but and it's a catch-22. You and I both love watching our team. I'm excited to watch us against Kentucky next week. I was already like another 7:45 kick. I got to wait all day. Then somehow I got to start rewatching the film at like dang midnight or try to watch it all day Sunday. So it's like those night games are just brutal. But if everyone likes it, whatever.
Yeah, it's crushing the night games. They really get to me. But yeah, I also like with the Pollock thing that you were talking about, it's like people giving the defense their flowers. People, when they think about Tennessee, they're wanting to talk about the offense and how poor it's been and, how they've gone 3 straight games without scoring in the first half. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. They went 3 straight games without scoring in the first half, and this defense has kept them in the game.
Yeah.
The game.
Yeah.
Yes, you can bash the offense for that because it's deserved, but also give flowers to the defense.
And I'm not going to overrate some of the performances or some of the teams they're playing, but like I saw Arkansas put up like 1 million this weekend, and I'm like, Tennessee held them at home to a certain amount. Florida put up a gajillion on like Kentucky last week, and it's like we held them. So it's those little games like that you're like, oh, they're probably not that good at teams. Like I would say they're. I mean, we always knew that. We knew that Arkansas was a pretty good team. You know what I mean? And then Florida. Florida's season started just so poorly. You're on national TV, you get absolutely blasted by Miami. It looks horrendous. Kudos to Sunbelt Billy. He's done a good job of keeping them competitive and keeping them in games. But, I know Kentucky's not any good, and they got beat again last night. But, I mean, they threw up almost a 50-burger on Kentucky. Florida did 2 weeks ago. So, it's like this Tennessee defense is just so awesome. And I'll be excited to see what they do this weekend and then continuing on. How was your weekend though? I do want to say I got to see old Nathan came up from Chattanooga, so I got to meet Little Reed. So we were going to do some lunch, but I had a busy day with some work stuff on Friday, and him and Reed and his wife were driving up to meet his folks in Gatlinburg for the weekend. So I was like, hey, like, let's, instead of eating and we don't have a ton of time, let's go to Alumni Hall. And I was like, bet, because I want to do a quick stroll. And I knew I wanted to go get this hat because I'd seen it there before and then had been wanting to go get it. And so we got to go over there and see each other for a little bit. So that was nice. But, so I want to shout out to him. But how was
someone's going to be upset that you're wearing a different hat.
What do you mean?
You don't remember that conversation with your aunt?
Oh, Mama T. Yeah, I got to get.
She's gonna get at you, boy.
I didn't even think about that. I got to go upstairs and get the pancakes and bacon hat. Matter of fact, I really don't wear a ton of hats. I do love these rope hats. Like it's like the reason I went to go get this is because it fits just like my Bridgestone golf hat and my Tighten Up. Those just they fit my fat thumb, my fat toe head well. And I feel like they make my face not look as puffy. And so I like the rope hats, but I got to go upstairs and get the pancakes and bacon hat. I got my Holston's hat. I got a Holston hat up there. I got a couple of my Titans hats. I need to go up there and get them. So I didn't even think about that. That's funny. It's a good memory on your part.
She's going to call you out because she watches these.
How was your weekend?
It was good. We went to dinner with some of Brian's law school friends last night. It was kind of a late birthday kind of thing for Brian.
When was her birthday?
The 16th.
That's Roberto's birthday.
Huh?
That's Roberto's birthday.
Is it? Same day? Mm-hmm. Love that.
Wait, was that the third? I think so. I think Roberto was the 16th. It might have been the 17th, but it was on Thursday. Let me check. My mom and dad are both October babies. Oh, no, she's the 16th. He's the 17th.
There you go.
So, anyway, where's your week?
But, yeah, we went at this Indian restaurant. It's like a kind of Indian fusion. It's not like hardcore Indian. Callahan's or something like that. I can't even remember what it was called. But it was good. Freaking chicken tikka masala.
What did you just call me?
What the heck? But I was crushing it. We kind of like shared with the table. So everybody got little pieces of everything, and it was fantastic.
That's the way you got to do it, especially if you're going somewhere that no one's been yet and everyone wants to try a little here and there.
Yeah.
Did you watch anything? I watched a little bit of that LSU and A&M game last night, but not a ton. Kyler, for me with these SEC standings,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this sounds bad to say, but I don't really care as much about an SEC. Like, I want to go to an SEC championship game and win it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the same.
If you know that you still have a shot at a playoff, then it does in a way diminish the championship game, which is what people's fears were.
And that's why I stopped myself. I did not want to say I don't care as much or diminish. Listen, going to the SEC championship game and winning it is still incredible. It's just as cool as it was years ago. It might even be cooler now because you think and you're like, well, we can go to the playoff without even having to win it. So, like, who cares to go? Like, no. Now that, it's still all the same teams, plus you add Oklahoma, plus you add Texas, and to be able to be like, we're the SEC champs, like, that's super, super dope.
The first year of a 16-team SEC where it's best record and not East and West.
It's dope. It's cool.
You get there and win it. Yeah, it's dope.
But I don't think about it as much with the SEC standings. Like, they were talking about all this. Like, I was listening to the podcast where David Pollock was on Tom McShay's show, and they were talking about all the standings and all the what ifs and who wins this and who wins that. I'm like, yo, I don't care. Like, I'm literally just like, beat Kentucky, keep it moving, because Tennessee's in that spot where if they handle business, I just want them in the playoff.
I mean, that's true. It's like, you want them in the playoff because it is like a national championship is more important than an SEC championship.
Correcto.
That has always been the truth.
Correct.
That has never not been the truth. Like, if a team were get to choose, hey, an SEC championship or a national championship, they pick national. That's why when Georgia won the national championship after losing to Alabama in the SEC championship, it's like, this is what matters, man. Yeah, okay, we didn't get that, but we got this. So that is why it might seem, hey, even if we don't make the SEC championship or we lose in the SEC championship, I still want our shot at the playoff. I still want our shot at the national. I still like that is what's more important. It's just in years past, you had the SEC championship as your first goal because it was
an automatic.
You gotta win it.
Yeah.
If you're not winning it, then you're probably not getting in.
Correct.
When there was only 2 teams going, right? And then there was 4 teams, and it was like, well, maybe you can squeeze in if you lose it, but if you don't even make it, there's no way. Right. Now, hey, you didn't make it, but you still got a shot.
I don't know. There was a couple of that nonsense where they were like, well, Bama's not even in the SEC championship game because they lost to LSU because it's the East and West, but are they still good enough to get in? Like, there was still some of that stuff. But, yeah, I don't know, man. It's funny that I just could really care less about the standings because
I'm excited down the stretch. It's right now above us is A&M, Georgia, and Texas. So when you look ahead and like schedule watch a little bit, Texas and A&M, their only test is each other.
Yeah.
They play the last game of the year. Before that, it's like they're playing Florida and Arkansas and Kentucky and like those kind of teams. A&M has a New Mexico State that they're playing. So it's like those guys aren't really playing anybody. So when you look at it, it's like if we don't take care of business and do what we need to do and beat Georgia, then an A&M Georgia SEC championship is very much on the table, or a Texas Georgia SEC championship is
Yeah.
very much on the table.
Yeah.
So it is very much like if we don't win out, we're probably not making it.
You talking about the SEC championship?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for
And
sure.
that's just how it's turned out. Now that we're at this point and people have 8 games, 9 games under their belt, we can see what's going on. And if we don't win out, we're not making the SEC championship. So it is, hey, hopefully we get voted in. But you got so many. I mean, there are so many teams right now with none or one loss.
Dude, we talked about it we just talked about it a couple weeks ago, or maybe I just made the comment about it, but like, bro, there's so many teams that are every team's beatable to me, which is really cool because I feel like in years past, whether it was Bama or Georgia or Ohio State or LSU or whoever else, it was just like, dude, I don't see them beating. And then if they did get beat, you're like, but like with these teams, like with these teams, like, dude, if Tennessee just plays Tennessee football and handles Kentucky and Mississippi State, like going into Georgia, I'm like, dude, Tennessee can absolutely win that game. Like you don't. I've already mentioned, like you don't kill yourself with penalties and different stupid stuff on offense and shoot yourself in the foot and hit 50% of what Josh Heupel dials up. Like you're going to be in that game and potentially win it because
for sure.
Because nothing about that game worries me at all except that it's away. Like honestly, if it was in Neyland, I'd be like, I'd probably think really good about it. But
how much has Neyland affected the past 2 games? It's been crazy. I love the fact that we have a bye week in between. We literally have 4 home games right in a row. It's just like what a time to try and figure out the offense.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's where you want to figure it out.
Let's hear those Q&As. I'm excited to hear what we found on there.
Yeah, so I just found a few in the comments over the past few videos since the last bye week that I thought were good. So James Fair, one of our avid listeners, great commenter and great tweeter for us. He just brought up a thought, and he was like, I like the fact, or I would like if Heupel took the ball first and scored and gave our defense an advantage in a way. Having the defense be so good that now you put the other team in oh crap, we have to they start freaking out before the game really even starts. And I get where he's coming from.
Yeah.
But to say that the second half, us getting the ball first, it hasn't been one of the most important things is an understatement. Our first half of offense have been so lackluster, and our ability to score in the second half, that possession after halftime has been so big for us in coming back in these games. And I always just I understand that part of it, but if I'm a coach and I want to set a tone of a game, I want to put my best unit out there first.
Yeah.
And it's defense will go out there and set a tone and be like 3 and out. Then they lost the possession, right? And it's almost like we got the ball first anyways. But we made them lose possession. So it's I
get where James is coming from, and I get where a lot of people are coming from. For me, I've always, no matter what, anything I'm playing, video games, flag football, high school football, watching the Titans, watching the Vols, whatever, I always want to kick it off. And maybe I'm more of a defensive guy. I want to hit them in the mouth, just make them feel like, holy crap, we need to go to the sideline and take a deep breath. Because I just felt like there were 15 dudes on the field. You get a 3 and out, or even if it's not in a 3 and out, but you get a pretty quick stop. They punt it, and then I feel like the team is kind of settled in, the defenders are settled in, and then offensively, if you can go and the game's kind of already been going and you're in it, and I know it's their first snaps, but then if you can go down and score there, and it's like, whoa, we've just been stopped. They scored. They're getting ball at half. Like, I'm going to take that 100 out of 100 times. Now, for this team specifically, you already said it. You want to put your best unit out there first to set the tone, and our defense is our best unit. And so that's why I want to send them out there first. Now, even if you went to 2021, 2022 hype, and the offense was much better in defense, like I could get that there. You could sell me on that one. Hey, I want to go out there. I want to hit.
I agree, because it was like in those moments we would get up so much. Even 2020 hype, like that team, like, or 2021, we would get up so much that teams would be like, "Oh crap, it's 21-0 already."
Right.
So it was a very much an advantage, offense first. Like, our offense was our best unit.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, if you that whole thing is you go score first pretty quick, you come out, you get a stop, and then you score again, it's 14-0, and there's 8 minutes to go in the first quarter, and you're like, what the just happened? So I get it. I totally get that. But it's kind of the story of this season that it's, you know, we're playing a different brand of ball right now. And you start hitting a couple shots, and it's a full team effort. It's something, you know, back to 2022. So what's the next Q&A?
Together, it's gonna be scary. Like,
the
fact that we are a one-loss team, 6-1 at this point, and our offense has been like this. It's like, holy crap! If they are able to put it together, teams are going to be like, shit. Like, damn it! I thought we were going to be okay because their offense is so bad.
Yeah. Before you do the next Q&A, I know you didn't put this up there and talk about it, but like, I'll just say this. I mean, Kyler, I couldn't be happier with where we are in halfway point of the season. Or I guess is it halfway? How many games have we played? We're what, 6-1?
Yeah, so we're a little bit over half.
Yeah, but at the next bye stop, like, I couldn't be happier where Tennessee is. And I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but like, if we had to lose a game, Arkansas would be the one I would have picked to lose, honestly.
No, I remember before the season you said that.
I know. No, I thought we would lose. But if you're asking me which one we had to lose, I'm picking Arkansas 100 out of 100 times. If you lose to NC State, that kills your momentum. It kills the hype. They're not a good team. It looks bad. The Oklahoma game had so much off the field stuff, and for Heupel, like, that one would have really bummed. Plus, we had not beaten Oklahoma when your 2 times we were there, and I just felt like I'd seen Oklahoma a bunch. We hadn't beaten them. They were pissing me off. Like, welcome them to the SEC, so I don't want to lose them. Arkansas is Arkansas. This is no disrespect to them. They beat us this year, so listen, they beat us. Once again, it doesn't matter if I feel like if we played 10 times that I think we'd win 7 or 8 of them. Whatever the case may be, if we played them again this upcoming week, I think we beat them. None of that matters because they beat us for this year, and they've had some weird stuff that when we've played them that we haven't been at our best, and they've kind of been on more of an uptick, except for maybe when you were there. Both teams, your senior year, both teams are pretty comparable. Mm-hmm. But that's the one I pick. It's an away game. It's at night. It's on the road in the SEC. It's still early enough in the season that you take a loss that you learn from. Yeah. I don't want to lose to Florida. I hate Florida. I don't want to lose them. It's at home. You can't lose that game. I hate Alabama. It's at home. I don't want to lose that game. So for me, I couldn't be happier with where we sit. Now, would I rather us be undefeated? Yeah, sure. But I don't need us to be undefeated to feel really, really good about how we can end it. Because if we're undefeated right here, but still looking some of the ways we've looked, I'm still going to be kind of nervous about like, something's there. And maybe you take that loss early enough. For example, Nico hits Dante on that Arkansas bomb. He catches it, breaks a couple tackles, and goes in, and we kind of win by the skin of our teeth. I don't know if that narrow win helps the coaching staff and the team for the future long run as much as an actual loss taste. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like the taste of a loss motivates the guys more and lets them know that, like, hey, you're not perfect. There's not the rat poison, like Saban says, getting into their brains of like, hey, you're an undefeated SEC team. You're number 1 in the standings.
Yeah.
Actually, like, no, we're not there yet. We got to figure this shit out. Georgia's coming down the pipe.
And I appreciated. So it was on the Rosillo. Todd McShay and Ryan Rosillo were talking, and it was about the Texas-Georgia game. And it was like there could not have been a better spot for Kirby Smart to have those guys going into Texas. Now, granted, I pull for Texas now because of Bailey, and I want them to do well. But, I don't know if Texas has really beaten a good team in the past 2 years. Honestly, this 2-year span they've had, I don't know if they've beaten a really, really good quality team. Listen, it's not their fault. They've played who's in front of them. Yeah. You got everything riding high with them. Everything riding high. In that entire week, Kirby is just this, all in his players' ears. And Rosillo and Todd McShay made a great point, and maybe even David Pollack maybe has said it too. That stuff doesn't necessarily matter in the game, but it matters all that week leading up. And I know you've taken a loss, and I know I've taken a loss, that eats at you more than any other lesson you could have ever gained by winning a close one. It hits different. It hits different. Yeah. And you are so locked in that preparation week that when you come out there, it's a different level of intensity. And that doesn't even have to mean like physical intensity. There's just a different level of like, there's no way we're losing this game. And so anyways, that's I don't know how you feel, but I'm super happy with how the season has been right now. And the loss that we had to take.
I'm with you. I agree with you with the Georgia take. Like, I think one of the reasons Georgia won versus Texas because they lost versus Alabama. Like, it kind of cleared their heads of being like, hey, you're not there yet. Like, you need to make sure and put this team away. Even when the refs somehow do what they did in that game, like, you still need to put this team away. So
yeah,
I think that's very much part of it when you lose games like that, like motivation. Okay. Another question. TJ Boyd 17 that was on there. He said that he was asking about the offense. Said a lot of our routes are vertical, a lot of our routes are deep. And he was like, is there any other choice / option routes, combinations that aren't vertical that Heupel can put into the offense? And should more people run routes? Because we've talked about plays where you got two guys on one side running route, but the other side doesn't run any. So I don't know if people are understanding completely like what Heupel is trying to do with his offense. It's like, yes, there are intermediate routes that he could probably put in more, but like his comebacks, his digs, and his slants, those are the intermediate routes. Okay. We've seen those. We saw a good amount of completions with those. We saw Nico hit Brew on some of those. Nico missed Brew. Brew dropped one for a touchdown last week. So it's like those plays are still in the offense. Those short intermediate kind of routes are still in the offense. It's just about, hey, is this the best time to run it? Hey, does this set us up? Because a lot of the deep shots are, hey, we just ran the ball 4 times. Now I can take a deep shot because I know I got one-on-one, or I know that it's going to end up being what, like the corner is going to stay in the flat and it's just going to be safety and wide receiver against each other. Like, yeah, it might be zone, but it's not 2-on-1. So it's all about just like the setup and what plays create other plays. Like, that's how Heupel's offense works. And then when it comes to the guys running routes on the other side, I am kind of on that same page because I've always felt like it was, hey, just do something over there. Typically before, it was always it was a play that we were going so fast. Like, we just had a big run and everybody get up on the line, snap the ball, and there's 2 guys running routes and that's it. And then it's like, get rid of the ball or run or do what you can if that's not open. But I've seen some where it's like not that fast of a setup, not that fast of like get on the line, snap the ball, where guys don't run routes. And I'm just wondering if it's like, hey, if you don't have a route assigned to you, like sit there so you can keep the defenders with you. But as soon as you see anything, scramble, like scramble rules, get in front of the quarterback's face, run to wherever he's rolling out, get open, find a hole in the zone, like do something that can help and affect the play in a positive manner.
Yeah. Yeah. So to go to your rebuttal there, listen, I'm kind of either way. Like if you want something there and have these guys always running around, sure. But to be honest with you, and someone could say we got enough depth at receiver, so you don't have to worry about letting those guys stay fresh.
Getting
But
tired.
there's a part of it that not necessarily just straight up standing still, but if they just like half-ass come off the ball or like just come off the ball and just kind of chill, I think a part of that plays into the lulling the guys to sleep. Because as a corner and as a safety, well, not really as a safety because you still have so many other responsibilities. If you're a corner on that side and your guy just comes off the ball, you're like, it's almost this weird subconscious, like, bro, just because that receiver's not coming to block you or running around, like you're still 1 of 11 on defense. And if you get the backside pursuit, so in a way, I feel like it kind of plays mind games to it. But I think that what you said is such a good point. Like, hey, those guys would take off a play because we are going so fast and we're about to let Jalen Hyatt take off on a go route or said Tillman on a comeback and like, hey, don't waste your energy. So for me, it's either way. Like it doesn't necessarily bother me, but I think the question he was talking about of all of our routes are vertical. I don't think all of our routes are vertical. I think we have plenty of stuff that comes across the field.
Yeah.
I mean, the one where Gaston
You've
Moore,
also started to see it more with the rollouts too.
well, that's what I was about to say on the Gaston Moore pick when he came in and Leroy Jenkins did. Like Ethan Davis was coming on like a nice come across climb route, so like that wasn't a vertical shot. You'll see plenty of slants, plenty of digs. So I mean, one of my favorite plays I've seen so far is Squirrel White hit a whip route, but on the inside, and I absolutely love that. So it's like I don't know. I think to me, I'm not watching it being like, oh my gosh, all we do is deep shots or hitches, which I guess a hitch is technically vertical. I think there's still plenty of stuff working in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I agree.
And I know
you just have to watch it more. I mean, if you're a fan and you watch the game one time, you don't actually like go and study what the film looks like. You don't see that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Maybe I shouldn't think about the middle of the field being vertical or the middle of the field not being vertical, because if you got Ethan Davis or tight end back there at H-back and they just run a seam, like that's a vertical route. I think a lot of our stuff to the sidelines is still, sideline routes, or we'll do the little play action and try to dump it out to a guy on the vert. So I think just sitting here talking about that, I think he takes advantage of kind of everything. Yeah. In a play that I've loved that he's called that it has not worked out, and it's just top of mind because I was watching, was flipping back and forth a lot last night, but I was watching Kansas State, Kansas, and they ran one of those middle tight end screens, and Kansas ran it to perfection. And it was making me think about how he's done that twice with Ethan Davis. And the one in Alabama had a chance to be a really, really nice play because we had blockers out in space, but their safety, Alabama safety, made a really good job triggering, seeing it, come up and make a tackle. And then he tried it again one other game, and I don't know if it was Florida or something else, but the teams they've either been in zone and the players just made really good plays, or it's been man coverage and they've just done what they're supposed to do. But I like that he's trying to get Ethan Davis involved with the ball in his hands, and like I love those middle screens to tight ends and stuff.
I think there's a teaching point with that too, because I felt like in the Alabama one, Alabama blitzed on the play, so it was kind of like, oh, this is perfect, like run a screen into a blitz. And Ethan seemed to drift too much. Like I felt like Ethan should have treated it almost like a draw, where you're not trying. It's not you tunneling like a wide receiver going to the opposite side of the field. It's more like you finding a soft spot in the middle, and then your guys are in front of you in the middle, and you try and go upfield.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Because it just felt like he was literally at like lined up on the end of the line of scrimmage, did like a block for a second, and then tried to like turn around, but he just kept drifting across the face. Where I think the coaching point is more like, hey, let's play it like a draw. Like you're up the middle of the field, not trying to cross the field. Because you're not listen, Ethan, love you. You're an athlete. You ain't that fast. You're just not.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think that's a good point. I would maybe like to see maybe another one of those jailbreak screens. I feel like we haven't seen a jailbreak screen where you bring one of the wide receivers in, let our linemen get up. And that those are very much feast or famine. But like, I don't know if I've seen one, or maybe it's just the last successful one where we ran into Bayless Jones in the Missouri game, and Buddy like
no, we haven't had a lot of successful screens lately.
Yeah. So, but anyways, what's the next Q&A?
Next one, K-Dog 33. He was just curious. He's like, why is lineman downfield a penalty?
That's a good question. That one's so tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's honestly just a penalty because it would give the offense an unfair advantage. If a lineman is downfield on a pass play that he could block and he could take out a smaller defensive player for the pass. It's just, hey, this is too much of an advantage. If linemen are going to get downfield, you have to complete the ball behind the line of scrimmage. It has to be a screen. So it's just, I mean, that's pretty much it. And with the invention of the run pass option, it has now become a part of the game a lot more. It literally wasn't even like talked about before. And the run pass option comes in and it's like, hey, your guys are running a run play while you throw it.
So when that brought up and I said that's a tough one, I didn't mean it was a tough one to answer. I feel like it's a tough one, and I feel bad almost for these big boy linemen because, as you just mentioned, they don't know if Nico ends up giving it, throwing it, or anything. So if freaking Dane Davis is at right tackle and he's like, I don't have anyone right, I'm going to go try to pick up work, and it's like, well, hey man, like we threw it out there. He doesn't know that. So
no, and that is because when we ran it so much with Dobbs at quarterback, that was like it was talked about as a coaching point. Like, listen, lineman, you are running the football. Okay. It is quarterback's responsibility to get rid of the ball soon enough to where you are not downfield. Because there's no way that you can determine, hey, it ended up being a pass. You do what you have to do. You block this play. Yeah. And this needs to be, it is an option. It needs to be a quick option. It's not meant for the long downfield vertical stuff. And then we even introduced plays where it was like, I want you to sell this run so hard. Like, I want you to sell to 3 yards upfield and then stop and kind of back up.
Is it within 5 yards?
It's like if you get to 4 or 5 yards, they'll call it on you.
Yeah.
So that was a coach's boy's 3 yards. Like,
stay
3 yards.
There's a lot of things that we all wish that the reffing and the officiating could be different. But there's like an alignment downfield, and you'll see like, oh, he is already getting up to a linebacker. That needs to be called. Like, that is an advantage. But there's other times the dude's just in no man's land. He's like not affecting the play at all. And it's like, hey, I wish we could eat that one a little bit, but I get it. A rule's a rule, so whatever. But
it's also like it's an unfair advantage for the offense too, because the defense is like, this guy is coming to block me. Like, linebackers are like, this guy's blocking me 5 to 6 yards downfield. It's obviously not a pass, but they passed it.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? How am I supposed to defend the actual play when this is going on? It's like, there's no way.
If you're a linebacker and a guard pulls, you're like, what the?
Yeah, exactly. Guard pulls, he's 5 yards downfield, and he's cutting you. You're like, wait, what? Like, what's going on?
You got another one?
Okay, but that was the last one. So there wasn't like a ton of questions, but I thought it was good. So let's jump into Vols versus Kentucky coming up. Home game. Big to keep that home field advantage. Let's keep an undefeated record at home. Kentucky just got whooped up on by Auburn, which is not a good team. Auburn's running back, the what's his name, Hunter, just had 278 yards rushing. 278. It was 12 average of 12 yards a carry, and they ran a lot of inside zone concept stuff.
College football is wild. So it's like if we come back here and we're recording next Sunday and it's like kind of a dogfight because it's a rivalry game and Tennessee doesn't execute, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But, dude, they've potentially quit or given up or given in. Maybe Stoops can rally the boys. It was only somehow a couple weeks ago they went into LSU or to Ole Miss and beat Ole Miss. But, Kyler, this should be an absolute get-right game offensively. And that doesn't mean that Nico's got to throw for 350. I'm just saying if you take 8 shots, hit 4 of them. If you take 7, hit 3 of them. And just let the defense eat, let people get rowdy, have a good crowd.
Execute the plays that are given to you.
And that's it. That's what I was going to say. It doesn't have to when I say get-right game, it doesn't have to be throw it 50 times. Just let Dylan and Deshaun run it like they should. I don't want to see any really quarterback runs here. We shouldn't really need them.
Yeah.
So go out and do what you did against NC State.
I'll feel better. I'll feel better if Nico is like freaking 14 for 18 for 160 yards and a touchdown. Like I would feel better about our offense. Like if it's just like, hey, you were efficient. Hey, you hit what you needed to hit. You got 1 touchdown in, or we were running the ball really well, so you didn't need to like throw it a lot. Like I'd be like, all right, great. That's what I like. That I would rather run first, anyways. I trust Dylan Sampson the most on this team, so it's like I love that. I'm not upset with that. He, like you said, he doesn't need to have 300 yards, but this game and Mississippi State are so big for our offense to get to the point where you can compete against Georgia knowing that Georgia's defense is their strength as well. Like Georgia's offense isn't their strength. It's their defense still. That's what kind of team they are. Carson Beck will turn over that ball because he's been doing it all year, but their defense is good. It's elite. I mean, it held Texas to 15 points. So I think that's what it's about. I mean, Kentucky right now, I don't know if Stoops can really like get them up. It's going to be tough for them. I mean, they let up 24 unanswered points versus Auburn. They were up 10-0 at one point and then lost 24-10. And even their quarterback situation, like they tried the backup and he threw a pick like right after he got in. Not very good. He doesn't quite know how to run the offense. And then Vandergriff, who is their like presumed starter and has been playing the most, like he'll be dangerous with that ball. And he'll try and he'll chuck it. And he'll hold it out when he's getting sacked. Like so the fact our defense is so good always makes me feel good about any game because defense wins championships. Defense makes the biggest difference. You can win a game if your defense holds up and doesn't let a point scored. Like you can win games with defense. So
just turn this into the Will Levis game from a couple of years ago. It's nighttime. We're wearing all black. Jalen Wright busting some runs, had some deep shots, had some really cool defensive plays. Like do the exact same thing again and enjoy it. Enjoy watching us beat up on Kentucky. Can't stand them. So go and just put another nail in their coffin and into their season. And the only thing I would say about this is like if you do what we say and just like be efficient and hit your shots, then you don't have to worry about it. But like, don't let these dudes hang around. They shouldn't be on the same field with you. Like, go prove it. And this is a big mental toughness game in the fact of like, you just beat Florida. You just had a big, nice win against Bama. You're feeling good about yourself again. You got a bye week, but it's like you got to turn into that hungry dog again. Like you got to go eat and like go get after it. You can't just go out there and I'm not saying that they wouldn't play hard, but you can't just go and like run through the motions of like, oh, this is the play that's called. Okay, let me execute. It's like, no, bro. Like the rest of the season, except for UTSA or whoever it is we play, like you still have to go out and compete because there's still guys on bad teams that are prideful and they're going to go out and say, hey, our season might be over, but we want to ruin yours, or I'm still playing for the next level and I want to put good tape out there, or whatever the case may be. So,
you can't let like what just happened this past week, them versus Auburn, influence and be like, oh, this is a bad team. I don't need to pay attention. I don't need to concentrate. I don't need to, I don't need to give full effort. No. Like, put them in the dirt, push it down again, jump on top of them, give me people's elbow, do everything.
Agreed.
All right, brother. What a great pod. We didn't go 2+ hours. Just nice little 45 minutes.
Just a nice little check-in session.
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it.
See you, brother. Go.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Leave the comments. Love the comments. Leave questions in there so we can answer them. If you're just listening, rate, review, download, and re-download on those listening platforms. Also, follow us on all those listening platforms. Follow us on social media at Pancakes and Bacon for our main account on Twitter, at Pancakes and Bacon _RTI on Instagram. If you want to follow Reed, is at rbacon26. And then for myself, is just at Kyler Curbison on all social media. So check me out there. And thanks for being the best fans in the world. Let's go whoop up on Kentucky. And as always, go Vols.